even before the lunchtime, we will have the last but not least, the panel that will discuss the reality of green clubs. Vamos, a partir de agora, discutir a realidade e também o incentivo.
Debating on reality and incentive to green clubs in supporting sustainability and an ecology healthier. We have Teresa Santos,
FC Porto, Futebol Clube do Porto, Jacopo Romeo, Head of Communications at Udinese Calcio, and Carolina Petterson, Executive Director of We Play Green, will discuss the importance that clubs and organizations places on sustainability. And we have the panel moderated by Marisa Nobre, Marketing and Communications at EGF.
Bom dia, bem-vindos. Welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. I would like to thanks to Liga Portugal for the invitation to represent EGF here as a host of this green panel. It's a pleasure for me. I have a great speakers with me. And I will introduce this with a short presentation of them. So I start with Carolina Petterson Ruiz. Is the executive director of We Play Green, a global non-profit foundation that uses the power of football to speed up the green shift. We Play Green has been described as one of the most impressive driving organizations in the space and a powerful force of the football community. Carolina began her career in the financial sector as a consultant implementing sustainability regulations, including European Union directives. She has also worked internationally in development cooperation projects financed by European government agencies focused on Central and South America. Thanks to coming, Carolina.
Thank you.
I pass to Jacopo Romeo. Is the head of communication of Udinese Calcio since 2019. He has worked for Udinese Calcio since 2018 and believes in an innovative way of communicating, smart and oriented to the new media. Jacopo believes that football should bring positive social messages thanks to its popularity and media power. Above all that, environmental sustainability in all its aspects, an area where he has been involved for 3 years thanks to the green policy launched by Udinese. And the last but not the least, Teresa Santos is responsible for the sustainability department at Futebol Clube do Porto, having joined the Dragons in 2007. First, she was involved in the implementation of the quality environmental certification, an achievement never done at the time, with the Estádio do Dragão being the first stadium to receive this certificate. During her career at Futebol Clube do Porto, many projects have been implemented in the area of sustainability that elevate the Futebol Clube do Porto brand internationally, such as the implementation of color coding for the colorblind, audio description, or the implementation of reusable cups on match day. Thanks for coming. We are starting with some questions, and we are going to do the same question for all of them, so we can have the different perspectives of that. And on the final part, we open a Q&A for the audience, so prepare your questions for our speakers. And I start with you, Carolina. What do you think, how can green initiatives be integrated into the football industry without compromising the essence of the sport? And what environmental practices have been implemented in your institutions to become more sustainable?
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much. It's an honor being here. I think it's a good question because often when we talk about sustainability, we directly assume that it's against the essence of football, but if you ask me as a football fan, I think the essence of football is very much what happens on the pitch during the games, but also outside. It's the sense of family, it's the sense of belonging, it's all the values that you share with your club and during the games, the companionship. And I feel that that is only powered by sustainability. If we want to be able to enjoy the sport in 10, 20, 30 years from now, we have to start thinking about sustainability. So I really don't think you have to choose football or sort of sustainability. I think they both combine beautifully. And if we look at football, I mean, even if it were a change, football has changed a lot in the last years. I mean, VAR has been introduced, touchline technology. There's changes going on all the time, and they're for the better, and it evolves the sport. So I think sustainability can actually do the same if we embrace it. As for the second part of the question, what type of practices we have implemented, I'm here with two clubs, so I think we're going to get different answers, but we as a player-driven organization, we work very much with that, trying to get the engagement from the players, making them use their voices, which are so strong, to reach out about these very, very important topics. So we collaborate, and I think this is the ongoing message that has been going around all morning, the importance of collaboration and establishing these partnerships and doing things together. And that's what we do. We partner with clubs who want to try to engage the players. We work with sponsors, we work with national associations, we work with agents to try to give the players a platform and also understand what is sustainability and how can we make it approachable.
Great. Jacopo?
First of all, thanks to you, Marisa, and for Liga Portugal, I think, and for Football Summit for having me here. I would start from a basilar concept. It's not just football. It's a real world. Yeah. And we don't have to disconnect football from real world. Football must be innovative, especially at a middle-high level, and needs to think in a prospective and innovative way. And so this is really connected to the sustainability. We have to fight together for a common fight, which is the future of our planet. And so in that sense, I think that we have more than 3 billion of fans that follow football in the world, and it's the best way to canalize a positive social message. And in the specific case of the eco-sustainability, it's an urgence. We cannot wait anymore. And so for this reason, we decided to make a team on the pitch, but also outside the pitch 4 years ago, for example, starting with our partners. And so we decided to sensibilize our previous partner in order to stimulate them in taking this challenge together and maybe adopting some concrete project with us. And then we started also to select them in base of their own green policy. I think that is the plus. Starting from involving voice on the same page of you, because otherwise it's impossible to reach your fans, to sensibilize your players, like you were discussing, Carolina, and it becomes really hard to understand that everybody must do something, because it's not a challenge that one single club or one single player or one single association must combat, but it's a matter of everyone. And so we started from this, and we put in the middle also our stadium, which was the second one owned by the club in Italy. And so we started to put it in the middle of our green policy. And for example, about the energy issues, like we will discover after, and also especially with the concrete politics. Started the recycling at the stadium and all the offices of our company that all are at the stadium. And also having the first free plastic hospitality in all hospitality area at the stadium. So we start from these steps, and now we want to moving forward, involving not only the partners, but also the players and mostly our fans.
Great. Teresa, tell us your experience.
Primeiro de tudo, obrigada pelo convite. É uma honra estar aqui.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I believe that the other panelists already went to the point. It's so important to have this coordination between sustainability and the club. And we might give this example. 16 years ago, we started this path of ours. We are certified since 2007, and since then, in a consistent manner, we have been integrating in our business management model environmental policies. Further and further, I think that this will be an obligation of the clubs, because we need to be the role model. That's one of the goals in terms of sustainability, leading by example, and to be an example for our fans. So it's pivotal for us to be an example for our athletes. We've done a lot in this field, and I can discuss the issue of energy management that for us is pivotal and fundamental, a continuous monitoring of our consumption. It's of no use, and I say this a lot, it's of no use to have data if we don't treat them. If we don't know what they're saying, it's of no use to have 90 analyzers if we don't analyze data. So this consistency in our business management models, now we have communities of energy. That is our last step in terms of energy management. FC Porto is now implementing 2 communities with more than 2,000 photovoltaic panels that will allow us to have an independence of more than 40%. This is the path. These are some of the examples since waste management that we can list, but this is the path we've been trailing of consistency, of having a unique strategy to have a long-term action plan.
Now I start with you. What are the challenges for football clubs when implementing sustainable infrastructures and measures such as solar-powered stadiums and waste reduction? And what benefits could this bring to the environment and the community?
I would say that is the key. As I was saying before, we have a new and modern innovative stadium, and we decided to start from them. And cooperation with our energy partner, we started 4 years ago a process of efficiency for our energy that we use at the stadium. We only use energy produced from sustainable sources, and in the last 4 years, in this way, we were able to save more than 3,005 tons of CO2. And it's not over, because we want to keep on pushing, always in cooperation with them, and we aim to become shortly the first totally and carbon-free stadium in Italy. This is our main goal in this moment, and we have also another ambitious and innovative project, innovative for Italy, because it was already done in England, to host the first official emission zero game in our stadium, like happened in 2021, for example, for Tottenham Chelsea at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's ambitious, but we are marching on that way, and we want to keep pushing. And so I think that is one of the main issues we are involved in. But at the same time, you asked me correctly, how this can affect the community. I think that the community, not only the fans, because we need to pay attention, because in the community, not always you're speaking to fans of your club. You need to consider that you have to show them that you can give a concrete advantage if you share this value, because it's a share of value with them, with the partners, with the players. It's not only a mission, it's a share of value. And so we aim to build also an energetic community in order to give benefits on this issue of energetic side to all the inhabitants that live around the stadium, and not only. And at the same time, we are also another founding value, being sustainable not only for the environment, but also, for example, for the governance. And so we were elected as the most sustainable Italian club by the ESG ranking last season, 4th in the world, but also the sense of belonging with our land. We have a sponsor, our region, our touristic promotion committee of our region, and together with them, we are working also on new projects in order to promote our land connected to the sustainable tourism. And so in this way, we can connect these 2 important values in that we firmly believe, and we can give a positive message also to the community and to wants to discover our land.
Well, Teresa.
Eu acho que também temos que pensar nos desafios que
We must think about internal challenges also. One of the main difficulties is changing behaviors, not just internal, but also from the audiences, the public. 65% of our fans drive their cars to matches, and we have a subway station right in front of the stadium. We have parking for bikes, so changing behaviors is one of the great challenges. And also internal resources, the adaptation to change, to innovation. It's of no point to have a centralized management system of technicians don't know how to take advantage of that. So these two items are very important in terms of challenges, and especially by understanding clubs and organizations, the sustainability as a cost. It is a cost in the beginning, sure. If we are installing photovoltaic panels, it is an investment that it must be done immediately. But as I was saying, we need to think on the long run. And there will be a return, not just financial, but also an environmental impact. So there is a positive impact. That is the main message that we need to convey. The initial cost might come about, but the return is much greater. These are the benefits that we must convey. In terms of transportation, on how people commute. This change in behaviors, because of the example, we have brought reusable cups. I think that that would be a great challenge, but the fans have accepted this cup because it brings added value for the environment. We allow it to be someone who brings their own cup, and they see that there is a positive impact following that change. And I think that that must be the path of clubs, leading by example.
Advocate here, and not being a club, I think, from what I can see, at least on the outside, I think one of the challenges that football in general has, not just individual clubs, in implementing these types of sustainable strategies and working with environment and climate, is that we still see very often that these topics are relegated to the foundations of the clubs many times. They're not an integral part of the club's strategy and organization and their mentality and their core values. And I think that is really pushing us a bit behind when it comes to these topics, because it needs to be a part of the strategy, it needs to be a part of the overall budget of the club. And I think there we can do a lot more. And I think once we've been able to get past that and make sustainability an integral part of football clubs and of their organizations, like so many other industries have, I think that's when we'll see real change and we'll see real commitment as well. As for the benefits, I mean, there's plenty. Of course, we always think about trying to save the world. We are not going to be able to play football unless we start thinking about these things a few years from now. But there's so many more benefits. If you're just looking at the club's sort of financial health as well, there's so many possibilities, so many investment possibilities, new revenue streams, modernizing, optimizing the way that things work and how we do things. So I think the benefits are endless, but I think the challenge is probably that, from my perspective.
I think we agree. Teresa, I start with you now. How might green practices such as reduced travel or eco-friendly merchandising contribute to the club's bottom line and also benefit the environment? And can football clubs really balance their financial sustainability with green initiatives?
Sem dúvida, isso no fundo é o que eu tenho vindo a dizer, não é?
Of course, that's what I've been saying. This transition is so important, even the issue of vehicles. We are going into electric vehicles and plug-in vehicles. There needs to be a change, and we need to be clear about it. It needs to be for the long run. We wrote the, so we were part of the Porto Covenant 2030 carbon neutral, because we need to go for the long haul, you know. I've been in a seminar yesterday that was stating exactly that. We have a short-term planning, increasing energy or crisis. We have this strategy, this risk analysis, mitigating these actions. We need to have all the structure to reach our goals. That needs to be a unique strategy within the club. It's very important to be able to involve all our organization to reach those goals? This is the message that I would like to convey. Carolina?
First question, which is, can football actually have an impact on the world if we start acting more environmentally friendly, is yes. If we just look at football, I think the average that was counted for global football, the amount of emissions that they produce, is about 30 million tons of CO2 per year. So yes, there's a lot we can do in trying to reduce that number, first of all. But apart from that, one of the amazing things about football is the reach that it has. We're talking about how many people are affected by football, and I've heard numbers ranging from 3.4 billion to 5 billion. In any case, it's more or less half of the world's population, at least, is engaged in one way or another in football. So if we can transmit that, apart from changing the way that we're working inside football, if we can just transmit and communicate those changes and use, for example, like we do, football players to communicate about these things, the impact that we can create, I mean, it's exponential, not just within our doors, but thinking outside of the doors. And I think that's what we need to start doing. We need to stop thinking of football just happening within the clubs and understanding that it's a part of a much, much larger ecosystem. And I think it also comes with a certain responsibility to have that power of impact and impacting people's lives. Yeah, I think in short, I think obviously, and the bottom line, I mean, we've always thought of football sort of as a different animal to other industries, but we've seen it happen in the retail industry. They've had to go more green. We've seen it in the financial sector. Banks, for other reasons, perhaps haven't gone as well, but not for sustainability. I think things are growing. There's new products. There's so many new things that are coming. So I don't see how it's going to affect the bottom line negatively. If we just look around us, let's learn from how other industries have implemented these directives that are coming and the new regulations, and let's use that to be able to work better and do better as well within football.
Do you agree, Jacopo?
I totally agree, and I want to link to what Carolina just said. In our case, sustainability at 360 degrees is a value, and we always take care of sustainability of the governance. And we showed that if you pay attention also in the modern football to that issues, you don't penalize the sport results, because we are at the 29th straight season in Serie A, and we played for 11 times European competitions. And now the new challenge is to prove that if you invest and you firmly believe that in this green politics, you the same have a balance that is also a balance of the governance, because as we were discussing before, Carolina, it's not a secret, it is not a mystery that it can be also a good opportunity of new revenues, but new revenues that can help the club and all the system of the football to share positive message. That is the step that we as football have to do, thinking like an industry, because at the same time we speak to the emotion, because we move the emotion of our fans all over the world. But we have to take conscience that we are an industry. And maybe we are the most powerful industry in the world because we speak to the heart and to the emotion of the people. That's the key. About the first part, and sorry, I started from the second part of the question.
Okay.
And about the first part, also about the travels and merchandise. I think that another fundamental issue is inspiring the fans, and inspiring also who is on the same page as you. And I think that we did the same with our technical sponsor, because we were the first club branded by our technical sponsor 4 years ago to use a jersey all made with a tissue from recycled plastic. And to make one jersey, also actually, we are ongoing, I used 13 plastic bottles. And in this first season, we saved more than 335,000 of plastic bottles. And the most important things, in my view, in our view, is that our technical sponsor was inspired by this request, and now they have more than 100 clubs all over the world, not only on football, but in all sports, that use only that jersey. And I think that is the best part of the message, connected with the plastic that we help to save, because that means that if you start, someone can follow you and understand the same urgence. I think that these are both the keys.
And the example comes from the up, so it's more easier to...
Totally, because I agree also that it's a matter of boards. It's not a matter only of the charity associations of the club. If you arrive at the boards and the boards give that direction, we are lucky of it, also in our case is not Teresa, this is the first important part of the project. It's not only a matter of what we do, it's a matter of who we want to be.
Yes.
This is why the strategy needs to be the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, very good. So now we can open our Q&A for the audience. Anyone with a question? Yes, we have one question. Here.
The microphone's coming.
Yeah.
They are bringing you.
Can you tell us your name, please?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
André Teixeira from Colorado. And I was listening carefully, and we were talking about the power of clubs as an example, and not directly related with environment, but with social responsibility. We have a project with Futebol Clube do Porto that aims to identify colors for colorblind. And the power of that partnership open us doors to other areas of, as an example for society, and we are implementing the system in several malls, and the first mall that used our system saw the example in Futebol Clube do Porto. I think that I'm only sharing this to show the example of the power of communication of football, because it's a huge power that football has, and that power brings also responsibility, and we are talking about the direct impact on the fields and on stadiums, but football has much more power than direct impact on their system.
True. Yes.
Posso acrescentar?
Might I just add one thing? This is a project that we are very proud of, being connected with Colorado, using a color code where color is an element of distinction. And if you were to notice, we also use a code in vests during the warm-up. We know that the code will not answer the question of the color difference, but it will reach what you just said. We will raise awareness. So we will make it that they want to know what that code is. We will mobilize masses. That is the example that we have. And let me take advantage to address this social issue. In the last match, we brought sign language in the screens of the stadium. So we had a great feedback from our audiences because they were watching. We have audio description in all, in every match. We started the championship with inclusive summary, with audio description. But to see on the stadium, to have the anthem of the club, to have the security message in sign language visible on screen, has a lot of impact. That's our intention, to share this example, so that more clubs, the community, feels integrated.
Questions we have here?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for sharing your experience and your challenges. My name is Vitor Shoa. I work for AFL Architects, and I'm specialized in designing stadiums. So we work a bit all around the world. And I could say I designed one of the less efficient buildings in the world because they're very big, they're not used much, so we have some real challenges. My challenge is I have to think 50, 100 years forward. So I cannot do small measures that will not work. And we find a huge resistance from the clubs to implement real carbon reduction measures during construction design. So I would say that making a sustainable stadium increases the value by 10 to 15%, and that's the first thing to go out. So what I find is that there's kind of a greenwashing. So if they show that they did, small measurements and it's a sustainable club, what about the main asset? Why is this resistance, and what would be your advice for any other clubs that might be here to look forward, not 5 years, 10 years, but 50 years or 100 years? I would like very much to change the world through stadiums.
Okay. Who wants to
Perhaps
answer?
I can start. I think we need to start thinking as a community, and if there is resistance within certain clubs, I think we should think about everything else that happens around them. We should target the fans, make sure that they pressure from their point of view. We should target the football players, get them engaged and understand how important this is. Have them pressure the club as well. Football players are the largest assets in a club. Get them engaged. Sponsors, we're already seeing some examples of sponsors actually putting a lot of pressure on the clubs that they sponsor, because they have to start sustainability reporting. They have to make sure that they have these measures in place, and they can't just be giving financing to clubs who are not acting accordingly. So I think we should look at football as a much larger community and try to use all the other players as well to put pressure to make sure that real change happens. And then I also think that even though they might be resilient now, I don't think it's an option anymore. I mean, yes, perhaps in 2, 3, 5 years, it's an option whether to do drastic change or not. But within 10 years, with the types of directives, at least when we talk in Europe, the types of directives and regulations that are coming from the EU, football is not going to be able to turn a blind eye much longer.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And about stadium, I totally agree. I can give our case history, because 8 years ago, when we built the new stadium, we took care about these issues, and we recycled a big part of the material of the old one.
Fantastic.
Just in order also to being sustainable in the project too. And the other key is to think that stadium is not anymore only for the match day. Because if you increase the perception of the community that the stadium can be alive 365 days a year for events, for happenings, also not connected to the football, this helps. This helps.
I know. Yeah.
And o facto também, lá está,
The vision, the cost also. In most cases, the initial cost is a bit higher. We must have a long-term vision. Clubs need to understand they need to adapt. The entities themselves, UEFA, they, in terms for licensing, they must have a strategy for sustainability in stadiums. Entities themselves are demanding more from clubs. And that vision changes, or will need to change, realizing that that investment will be recovered. In 2003, we built the Dragon Stadium. We have a waste plant, but we have a full-time operator with a screening area. We have a press. There was an investment, sure, but there is a return also. Less loads. With this implementation, we have reduced 9% on the production of waste and increased 20% recycled. So we were able to separate and to make sure that all of them are screened and properly separated. There are benefits, sure. Many times what happens is that there is no vision of benefits of what one might profit from it. Thank you.
Speakers that we are here today, and thanks to all that are at the audience. I would like to finish this Green panel, this Green Clubs panel, saying that in this Sustainability League, the more players that you get into this pitch, it's more easy to win and to get the win. So thank you and have a good lunch.
Thank you.
Thank you.